When it comes to core inflation, that does not include energy or food, but yet that number is the highest we've seen since 1982.
6.6 is a new high. The old high was 6.5 in March. That went back to 1982.
Sir, is it time for this White House and the Biden administration to pivot on its economic policies?
No.
The Consumer Price Index rose 8.2% over the last 12 months and 0.4% for the month of September. Yes, declining gasoline prices over the summer pushed down inflation for a couple of months, but it appears that short period of relief was, shall we say, transitory?
I was doing really good, and now we're not.
Oh, it's outrageous. It's getting crazy.
Cuts down on fun times, I guess.
And unfortunately for Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, most polls today suggest the sustained financial strain is the issue most important to voters.
A combined 34% cite either jobs in the economy or inflation. And on that question, the Republicans have a nearly 30-point advantage over the Democrats.
Democrats try to blame inflation on issues such as the war in Ukraine. So here's a little context. On the day of Joe Biden's inauguration in January 2021, inflation stood at just 1.4%. 1 year later, it had jumped to 7.5%. That's before Russia had even invaded Ukraine. Another target for progressives, the Federal Reserve.
I do blame the Fed. They were buying back corporate bonds and mortgages for way too long, printing way too much money.
So who's the real culprit?
We're still living in a post-COVID hangover of the majority party in both bodies producing huge mandatory spending bills in the $1 trillion range. And then we sit around and we wonder why, with all this spending, we have inflation.
Also to blame, the Federal Reserve, which was too slow to tighten despite evidence that inflation wasn't merely transitory.
That's going to be a problem for markets. They're going to get nervous now because that means the Fed has an even harder job than they thought they had.
Another key driver of inflation, of course, is energy costs. And with OPEC Plus reducing oil production by 2 million barrels, the common sense response would be to unleash US energy production. Instead, Mr. Biden is seeking to ease sanctions on Iran and Venezuela and begging OPEC to pump more.
It's not Saudi Arabia that's holding a gun to our head or OPEC. It is Joe Biden who's holding a gun to the head of the American people when it comes to energy.
The president could help mitigate the economic pain with pro-growth policies. Instead, he's doing the opposite, signing a massive corporate tax increase and imposing new burdens on businesses that create uncertainty and discourage hiring. In a response memorable of his 1-inch comment last month, the president had this to say about the possibility of recession.
And if it is, it'll be a very slight recession. That is, we'll move down slightly.